They say ultra-wide angles distort reality. I say, why not flip it? This is the widest f1.4 Sigma has ever made for APS-C. And today I'm putting it through every technical test that matters. Available in E-mount, Fujifilm X and Canon RF APS-C. 62mm front filter. Focuses as close as 17.2 centimeters. Aperture control ring for direct adjustment. Paddle-shaped hood included. Dust and splash resistant. Coated to repel water and oil. 9-blade rounded diaphragm. Part of Sigma's contemporary line. It's been 19 years since I first picked up an ultra-wide APS-C lens. And fittingly, my first ultra-wide was a Sigma. The little 10 to 20mm F4 to 5.6 DC HSM. I still remember chasing those sunsets, framing landscapes or waterscapes with NDs and bending reality with those wild perspectives. That lens made photography feel like pure magic. I even shot outdoor portraits with it. Crazy, I know. Fast forward to today, I'm holding a 12mm ultra-wide f1.4 that weighs just 225 grams, with solid build quality and even an aperture control ring. Something I never could have imagined back then. And the possibilities? On a whole new level. Huge scenes, dramatic perspective, shallow depth of field, clean low-light shots, all in a tiny form factor that works perfectly on small gimbals for those trending speed ramp shots, or mounted on car rigs. Let's break it down. For this test, in-camera corrections are turned off. On the A6700's 26 megapixel sensor, sharpness at 12mm wide open is excellent in the center with strong contrast. The corners start out softer but improve as you stop down, and nearly matching the center at f8. Beyond that, diffraction kicks in, as expected. Like most ultra-wides, this lens shows a bit of field curvature, at least on my copy. Focus into the corners and they sharpen up even at f1.4, but then the center softens and vice versa. This lens relies heavily on in-camera correction for distortion and vignetting. Disable them and at 12mm you are hit with a strong barrel distortion. Vignetting is also quite pronounced at f1.4 and doesn't fully clean up until around f5.6. In real-world use, it's not a deal breaker since correction or a quick fix in post handle it well. But it's worth noting that the lens isn't optically neutral on its own. Point a bright light at this thing wide open and it throws a glowing ring of flare, like it's trying to cosplay as a UFO. Cool, weird, maybe that's Sigma's accidental sci-fi filter. Stop it down a bit and boom, the UFO straightens into a sharp 18-point sun star. The skies were mostly overcast here, so I couldn't properly test astro for coma, but from the few stars that slipped into this light polluted city shot, coma looks fairly well controlled. Bright points don't smear much at the edges, a promising sign for astrophotography. At f1.4 you will notice some longitudinal chromatic aberration, magenta in the foreground and green in the background. Stopping down quickly reduces it, and by f5.6 it's essentially gone. Lateral chromatic aberration is well controlled with no significant issues to worry about. Bokeh isn't usually the strong suit of ultra-wide lenses, but the fast f1.8 aperture does give you a bit of subject separation when you are up close. Background blur isn't dramatic like a telephoto, yet it's smooth enough to add some depth and character to your shots. And thanks to the rounded 11-blade diaphragm, those bokeh circles stay consistently round even when stopping down. This lens focuses down to 17.2 centimeters, offering a maximum magnification of 1 to 8.4, while the sharpness is decent wide open. Stopping down to around f4 brings out the best detail. As noted earlier, field curvature also affects close-up shooting at wider apertures. Closing the aperture to f8 helps bring the center and corners into better balance. Autofocus is driven by a stepper motor, which is more than sufficient for an ultra-wide lens with such a short hyperfocal distance. There's a touch of focus breathing, but with such an ultra-wide field of view, it barely registers in practice. The breathing is so subtle it never feels distracting. Honestly, unless you are a pixel peeper with a ruler, you would hardly know it's there. This lens is great for video. At 12mm, it's perfect for vlogging at arm's length. It's not as wide as an action cam, but the image quality crushes it. Clean, detailed, and artifacts-free. And when the light drops, action cams just fall apart. While the fast f1.4 opening on this ultra-wide and APS-C sensor keep things sharp and clean. Throw it on a small gimbal and you have got a lightweight setup that punches way above its size. If I were a vlogger, which I'm currently not, or the type of creator who mainly relies on an action cam, I would probably keep it as a backup or B cam. But for the main setup, I would grab this lens, throw it on an entry-level APS-C mirrorless, and boom, your content instantly gets a serious visual upgrade. At just 225 grams, with this kind of aperture and image quality, it's a big deal. Add a compact gimbal and you've got yourself a rock-solid vlogging kit. Now of course this isn't your only choice. Viltrox offers a 13mm f1.4, but it's noticeably heavier. Samyang has a budget-friendly 12mm f2, though that's a full stop slower. And then there's Sony's own 11mm f1.8, the closest rival here. And active stabilization generally works better with native Sony glass. Bottom line, Sony's 11mm f1.8 is a strong contender. But Sigma is really pushing boundaries with f1.4 at this size and weight. This lens isn't just wide, it's wide open to creativity.